fast, rugged and deadly. This is the Jaguar. But did you know this Anglo-French attack jet was never even meant for combat, or that it once took off without a pilot? Stick around for these and some more unusual facts about one of the most underrated jets of the Cold War. In the 1960s, Britain and France decided they needed a cheap, advanced jet attack trainer. Now, the idea was, let's produce a cheap jet that we can use to train crew to do low-level attacks, because British and French doctrine was for small attacks at low level, as opposed to the larger American strike packages using a lot more aircraft. So the idea was, let's create the Jaguar as a cheap aircraft that will fulfill that role. But then somewhere along the line, somebody went, hey, we could save even more money. Let's put some bombs on it and use it as an attack aircraft. And just like that, Britain and France found they had a new attack aircraft. In fact, it was so good in the ground attack role, other countries took notice. Over the lifetime, Jaguar flew for 6 air forces: the UK, France, India, Ecuador, Nigeria and Oman. Each used it differently. Ecuador even used it briefly in an air-to-air role. And for the Gulf War, the British upgraded theirs to carry Sidewinder missiles to give a limited air defense capability. But one country in 2025 is still using them: India. India loved the Jaguar so much they've kept upgrading it long after everybody else moved on. But here's the weird bit. These aircraft have now had a long life. Bearing in mind that most of them were built in the 1970s. And engines in particular have worn out. So Indian Jaguars are now using second-hand engines from scrapped airliners. Yeah, it's unorthodox, but if it works, it works. And it's worth noting the Indian Jaguars have also been modified to carry nuclear weapons, and have had a lot of the avionics and sensors improved, because people don't realize that is usually the big drawback of why airframes go out of date, is the fact the avionics don't keep up. But now for a really strange story. These days, drone warfare is all over the news. But how about a Jaguar that took off without a pilot? Well, in 1991, an RAF ground crew were testing an engine when the plane suddenly jumped the chocks, roared down the runway, and actually even took off. It eventually crashed into a fence, but not before proving that even without a pilot, the Jaguar flies quite well. Now, during the Gulf War, they were used quite extensively, doing a lot of low-level work, attacking particularly silkworm missiles. A number of them were damaged, but they still made it home. The French had also used them extensively in Africa in the 70s and 80s. So this trainer, in many ways, has become one of the most battle-tested jets of all time. Now, if you do want to see a Jaguar, this one is at the Newark Air Museum in Nottingham in the UK. And it's unusual. It's a 2-seater training variant, the Jaguar T2A, registration code XX829. This was built in the late 1970s and was a key part of pilot training. You can see it's got an extended cockpit, which actually has space for an instructor, making it a useful step before going solo. It was retired in the early 2000s and is now one of the few Jaguars you can see, and it's nice to see a 2-seater version. Hopefully you found that interesting. It's a fascinating aircraft with lots of odd little facts about it. If you've enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe, drop a comment, and tell me what aircraft you'd like to see me look at in future videos. See you soon for another video.